The 2025 Belgian Grand Prix at Spa reminded the world why Formula One remains the ultimate blend of raw speed, unpredictable drama, and razor-sharp decision-making. Under ever-changing skies, and after a lengthy delay, Oscar Piastri took a commanding and emotional victory ahead of his McLaren teammate and championship rival Lando Norris. It marked not just a personal triumph for the young Australian, but a symbolic moment in McLaren's continued resurgence. And as always at Spa, the events of the weekend spanned far beyond just the top step of the podium. This was a race where strategy, tire choices, weather, and team dynamics all converge in the kind of beautiful chaos that Formula One fans live for. Heading into Belgium, the pressure on Piastri had been quietly building. After early season momentum and several commanding drives, he had recently seen his lead in the championship standings chipped away, particularly by the consistent and maturing threat of Lando Norris. Spa was going to be a key turning point in this intra-team battle, and Piastri knew it. What unfolded wasn't just a win, it was a response. A declaration. From the moment he pulled off a perfectly judged overtake on Norris after the rolling start, it became his race to lose. The weekend itself had already delivered plenty of action by the time the lights went green on Sunday, although even that took longer than expected due to heavy rainfall that delayed the start. The rolling start procedure was met with frustration by many drivers, including Piastri, who admitted he would have preferred a standing start to maximize overtaking opportunities into Turn 1. But any concern about a missed opportunity quickly vanished once he executed a textbook slipstream pass on Norris up the Kemmel Straight, repaying the favor after Verstappen had used a similar move to beat him in Saturday's sprint. That move defined the race. In such tricky conditions, track position was king, and Piastri's calm and confident tire management was exceptional. Both McLaren drivers faced a crucial call mid-race when the circuit dried and teams switched from intermediates to slicks. Norris took the gamble with a set of hard tires, likely hedging against the possibility of Piastri wearing through his mediums too early and requiring another stop. It was a smart move in theory, but in practice, it didn't pay off. Piastri managed his tires superbly, keeping them alive all the way to the checkered flag, while Norris couldn't quite mount a serious late challenge due to a few small driving errors that added up over the stint. The victory was a defining moment for Piastri. More than just points, it reasserted his claim as a title contender, extending his championship lead over Norris back to 16 points. That first lap pass, in wet conditions at Spa of all places, was the kind of moment that resonates in a driver's career, one that fans and teams remember as the point where things shifted. It was clinical, confident, and, most importantly, effective. In the post-race interviews, Piastri's humility and attention to detail stood out. He didn't focus on the win itself, but rather on how he achieved it, staying close through Turn 1, knowing where he could lift slightly less than Norris, and how the toe-up ride-in made the difference. His maturity continues to shine through this season, and performances like this only enhance the belief that McLaren are not just fighting for wins. They're in the thick of a championship battle with two top-tier drivers. Norris, to his credit, was gracious in defeat. He acknowledged his errors and the small margins that separated him from victory. But he also made clear that he's not backing down. The rivalry within McLaren is still respectful, but it's becoming more intense. These are two drivers at the top of their game, pushing each other to new heights. The question now is how long that dynamic can remain harmonious as the title fight tightens. While McLaren were celebrating, other teams had very different weekends. Ferrari, for instance, had one of their more intriguing performances of the year. Charles Leclerc once again showed strong pace in both qualifying and the race, finishing on the podium after holding off Max Verstappen throughout the entire Grand Prix. This was Leclerc's third podium in 5 races, and while Ferrari still haven't quite delivered a winning package, there's a growing consistency and sharpness in how the Monegasque is operating. Leclerc benefited from a solid qualifying and a stable race car that allowed him to manage tires effectively while defending against Verstappen. His driving was composed and controlled, exactly what Ferrari need from their lead driver as they hold on a second place in the constructors' standings. It was also notable that Ferrari's final major upgrade of the season, a revised rear suspension, was on display here. Opinions within the team remain split on how impactful it really is, but the early signs were at least encouraging. On the other side of the Ferrari garage, Lewis Hamilton experienced a weekend that could only be described as brutal. Out in the early phases of both sprint qualifying and Grand Prix qualifying, Hamilton spent most of the event buried deep in the midfield, fighting to make progress while watching Leclerc contend near the front. But Ferrari pulled off a brilliant strategic move by bringing Hamilton in for slick tires early, undercutting several cars and getting him into the points. It wasn't the kind of race the seven-time world champion would be proud of from a performance standpoint, but his gratitude towards the team's strategic call post-race said it all. It salvaged something meaningful from an otherwise frustrating weekend. Hamilton's tone was reflective but determined. He knows the championship is out of reach this year, but he's still trying to make every race count. His comment about doing a better job for the team next weekend shows he's not checked out. He's still pushing, still committed, and still looking to make a difference, even in a difficult car. Speaking of difficulties, Red Bull had one of their more complex weekends of the season. Max Verstappen's win in the sprint was a reminder of his incredible racecraft and ability to execute a plan with ruthless precision. On Saturday, he used a low-drag rear-wing setup to out-drag Piastri along the Kemmel Straight, lifting strategically into Eau Rouge to maximize speed at the top of the hill and slingshotting into the lead before Les Combs. But that same setup would not serve him well on Sunday. Concerned about rain, Red Bull switched to a higher downforce configuration for the Grand Prix. It helped early in the wet conditions, but as the track dried, it became clear that Verstappen did not have the straight-line pace to threaten Leclerc. He pushed hard, stayed close, but could never quite launch a meaningful attack. His third-place finish was the maximum he could achieve under the circumstances, and post-race, Verstappen made it clear he didn't feel the car was fast enough to challenge for the win. Red Bull's strategic gamble with the wing setup worked for one day, but cost them on the one that mattered most. Verstappen's post-race comments were blunt but fair. He acknowledged the result on Saturday was more about circumstance than raw performance, and that P3 on Sunday was probably the best outcome possible given their pace. He's clearly frustrated by the team's current performance level and the growing threat posed by McLaren and Ferrari. There's still time in the season for Red Bull to respond, but the clear gap they once enjoyed is now gone. The field is catching up, fast. At Mercedes, things continue to be confusing. George Russell's P6 qualifying felt respectable at first glance, but his post-session remarks painted a bleaker picture. He described the weekend as one where the team had taken a big step backwards and admitted that they don't yet understand why. Despite gaining a position on Sunday to finish fifth, Russell called the result flattering, suggesting that the car's real performance level was far below what the timing screens indicated. The bigger concern, however, was Kimi Antonelli. The young Italian, touted as Mercedes' next big hope, had another tough weekend. He qualified last for the sprint and down in P18 for the Grand Prix, continuing a run of poor performances that now stretches across several race weekends. Antonelli admitted this is a difficult period and expressed hope that a new rear wing provided a small boost in confidence. But the results are still not there, and it's clear the team needs to find a way to better support their young driver as he navigates this steep learning curve. Outside of the title battle and technical developments, Spa also brought its usual flair with a range of high-profile guests and iconic moments. Amelia de Moldenberg was spotted in the Haas garage, adding a bit of fun and celebrity energy to the paddock. Real Madrid's Thibaut Courtois attended on Saturday and presented trophies to the top three sprint finishers, his towering frame dwarfing even the drivers on the podium. And in a touch of nostalgia and respect, former F1 driver and Belgian legend Jackie Ickx waved the checkered flag to close out Sunday's Grand Prix. Spa Francorchamps continues to be a jewel on the Formula One calendar, a circuit that tests everything from driver bravery to engineering precision, and one that rarely disappoints in terms of spectacle. This year was no exception. From the chaos of the delayed start to the strategic gambles and overtakes that followed, the Belgian Grand Prix once again delivered a race worthy of its legendary status. But more importantly, it revealed where teams and drivers truly stand in this critical phase of the season. McLaren's 1-2 result was more than just a highlight. It was a statement. Ferrari's podium gave them momentum. Red Bull's vulnerabilities are now visible, and Mercedes are facing difficult questions about the future direction of their car and driver development. With the summer break nearing and a series of crucial races ahead, the 2025 championship fight is far from settled. McLaren fans have reason to believe. Ferrari fans see light. Red Bull fans know there's work to be done, and Mercedes fans are hoping for clarity and stability. As always in Formula One, the real story is not just who wins on Sunday, it's how they get there. And after a weekend like this, we are reminded once again why we keep watching, keep analyzing, and keep loving this sport. Because every race is a new chapter, and Spa just wrote one we won't forget. Hello, McLaren faithful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss any McLaren and F1 updates with relaxing ASMR elements. Your support helps this incredible community grow stronger every day, and it's a small effort that goes a long way. Even if you can't contribute in other ways, it's completely free to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to keep the conversation going and share our passion for McLaren and F1. Your support helps keep the community thriving. Thank you for being part of McLaren.